All right, now we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford, coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us, just like V. Garcia, man. Hope all is well with you, my friend. And anything else that you can do for the Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, the great folks at Lakerholics.com, starting with him right there, plus also as well, the Hoopheads Podcast Network. It is sincerely appreciated. Well, wrapping up the exhibition season with a sterling 0-6 record, as only the Lakers can. But it was actually a lot closer and a lot more competitive. And we saw a lot of good things tonight from the big three and a lot of good things that we can take away from it for the start of the season and how well they might do. So we don't want to put things as far as the loss is concerned because they did lose in Sacramento to a very spirited Sacramento Kings team, 116-112. But there are a lot of good things we can take away from the game. Again, some good signs. Russell Westbrook with by far and away his best performance of the exhibition season. Austin Reeves, the kid's got moxie, but the kid's got a lot of work that he needs to take care of. So he's still a ways away. Well, I know him say LakerTom and Lakers
4 rebounds. I mean,
1 of 8 from 3. Let's mention that as well. But Lakers Twitter, that sound you heard on Lakers Twitter is already Lakers Twitter anointing him the new Alex Caruso and the GOTY. So the new GOAT.
You laugh now, but you'll be sorry later.
I like the kid's moxie. There were times that he was actually playing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was 1 of 8 from 3-point area. So we will go on from that. But again, the Lakers did struggle from behind the line, but they are putting up a lot of threes, which is a good sign. They did only make nine 3-pointers, but again, the transition game was very impressive. I like the way that they kept pushing the ball out there. V. Garcia, last I remember, the tortoise won the race. So let's hope that's the case. And the tortoise wins this race. The kid's, again, he's just a rookie. He's just someone that's going to come out there and hopefully give his best if he gets the time. But we'll wait and see what happens when all the guys come back to health as far as Kendrick Nunn, THT, Malik Monk. We'll see who comes and provides us a lift. But the kid's got some signs that he can go ahead and play in the NBA. But here today to not just talk about the new Alex Caruso and the guy who thinks he's better than Alex Caruso.
Will be better.
He will be better. Okay.
Right.
That means he's got a lot of, hey, I said on the last podcast, it means he's got a lot of money on the way. But also to talk about the impressive performance of the big three, even though, again, AD offensively was kind of off. Defensively, he looked a lot better. So I like that part of it. Is the man indeed behind Lakerholics.com? Please be part of the conversation today, including a wonderful article that he just put up himself. It is LakerTom and LakerTom. Great to have you back, my friend. We close out the exhibition season, not with a win.
Thank God. I'm done with it, man.
Yes, you and I both. But
Let's
they
move
do close
on
out
to
the
regular
exhibition season for Lakers fans with some hope for the future as the season starts next week.
Well, the main thing everybody's got to remember is that regular season, preseason just doesn't matter.
It was more spirited. You got to say it was more spirited.
I mean, the Kings went undefeated and the Lakers went winless.
Buddy Hield had something to prove.
Nobody.
Buddy Hield was trying to prove something, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Kings are moving in the right direction because I actually love the kid that they drafted, this Davion Mitchell. I mean,
yes, you and I both.
He is going. I mean, he down the road will be first team All NBA defensive as a guard.
That's a good possibility. I will not disagree.
And it's funny because there had been a rumor that the Lakers had traded for Buddy Hield and that they had swapped draft picks with the Kings right before the Russell Westbrook trade was announced. And so I've been watching Davion Mitchell, and I saw him come up there, number 9. The Kings had the draft pick, and he was available at number 9. And I was thinking, when that all happened, I was really imagining Davion Mitchell as a Laker, and I thought this would be great. Real ball hawking, 3-point shooting, 3-and-D guard. So, and they made some good moves, I mean, you can see the team is going to be turning around. I've always liked Holmes. I liked him when the Lakers were talking about drafting him. And it's kind of funny, back then when he was going through the draft, he was a 3-point shooting prospect. He took a lot of threes and so forth, but now he's played real well. It's preseason is so strange. It starts off with Frank just basically putting me in a terrible mood for the rest of the night by announcing that he's starting DeAndre Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I give DeAndre credit that both he and Dwight played very well. Our centers played well. We outscored them in the paint by 22. They outscored us from 3 by 24. They outshot us from the free throw line. We both had about the same number of chances. And that 6-point difference is basically missed free throws. The big three played well. AD, I thought, had a terrible second half. He had a great first half, but the second half.
As V. Garcia noted, it was nice to see Russ getting into the flow tonight, but he also noted his touch was way off tonight. And I agree, but defensively, he was a force inside. A lot of chase down blocks, I think, was a good sign. I just wish the rotations on the perimeter were a little bit better, because there were some wide open threes that the Kings gave up. That still kind of concerns me.
Yeah, the defense, well, I mean, there was a point where I thought it was going to be 140 to 135.
It looked like it for a little while.
They were going in the first half. Well, we're missing a lot of guards. And this was one of those games where basically what happens is that Walton made some good moves. Basically, he went with 3 guards to close out that game. And that's what won it for them. And one of the reasons there were so many wide open shots is, when you've got 3 guards against 2 guards, that means one of those guards is going to have somebody bigger and more cumbersome guarding him. And basically there were a lot of wide open jump shots from behind the arc that were taken by the Kings tonight. And the Lakers, the injuries basically have depleted the 2-guard position, which fortunately we had the most candidates for. So it'll be interesting to see what happens as we go forward, and hopefully Monk and Nunn can play, and be available for the opener. Hopefully, one of the problems with our 3-point shooting is that we basically had really no spacing anywhere, because we were playing a center along with the 3 superstars. LeBron shot 2 for 5. That was pretty good, but the rest of the team, basically didn't really shoot well from 3.
Carmelo Anthony was 3 for 4.
Yeah, Melo did okay. Again, defensively, Melo and Rondo are just like a nightmare when they're in there, and especially when they're in there together. And Rondo basically decided that all of those turnovers that Russ didn't have, he was going to have tonight. And he played a pretty shoddy game defensively and from a turnover standpoint. But it was good to see the 3 stars do well. Again, though, we didn't win the game. And again, we didn't see the kind of production. We got some good play. We got 10 points from the center position. We got 15 points from Melo's coming off of the bench. But when you allow the other team to score 116 and you get outshot from the 3-point line by 24 points, you win the fast break battle by 2 points. I mean, they were running as much as they were hurting us as much on the run as we were hurting them. So you write it off. You get ready to move on. Thank God nobody got hurt. I mean, there was that little scare with LeBron.
Yes, there was.
Especially when he didn't turn his ankle. It was like, what happened there?
It was his calf, it looked like.
It was his calf, I guess. Okay, so hopefully just a stinger or something like that. But, now we're ready for Tuesday. Let's see what happens in the regular season. I did think it was really great to see Russ look like Russ, attacking the basket. He had 3 turnovers. That's not bad. It's just good to get preseason done, man. I can't wait till we have regular season basketball starting next Tuesday. I will say one thing that was, I don't know whether anybody else had that problem, but I'd be interested in hearing if anybody did. But League Pass, man, I mean, the feed from League Pass was actually just horrendous. And I went online and there were all sorts of people complaining about it because basically every second or third time down the court, there was a hesitation and a hesitation in the middle of the play. And then they resumed after jerking around for like 3 or 4 seconds. They resumed like 10 seconds later. And so I missed maybe a third of the baskets made in the game. And it's just pretty amazing.
Well, I actually watched the feed off of YouTube TV and the Sacramento feed. That's what I was watching it off of. So that was clean to let everybody know out there.
Well, you know, I even recorded it and played it back. I turned the TV off and on. You know, I mean, I was mostly complaining about that rather than the game because somebody go up for a shot and the ball would just be stopped in midair, and then there'd be a couple of jerks, and then the other team would be coming down, and you have to look at the score to see whether or not that basket went in.
Yeah. V. Garcia says, "Get your money back for this one, LakerTom. Get your money back."
Well, you know, they have a new feature that I had not seen before, and I had a decision to make, which is if you can buy this Super League Pass thing that includes
the Tune 49, I think one.
Yeah, and then there's the 199 one.
Yeah.
But for 177.79, I think it is, or 69, something like that.
It's 119, 199, and 249.
You can I just took the Lakers this year.
I would get the whole team. I get the whole.
Yeah, I didn't take the whole thing.
I'm contemplating getting it before the start of the season. So.
Yeah, I didn't even know that they had that offer before.
Well, that one is if you want to do it on I think the main ticket on the 249 one is if you want to do it on 2 different devices at the same time. So I would say LakerTom has a friend out there, maybe named Jamie Sweet.
I'm here, baby. I'm here.
Yeah, okay. Well, actually, the guy who I've given it to before is Dave, DJ 24. So I gave Dave had all of my connections for League Pass and for the Yankees for MLB.
NBA TV for us out here, V. Garcia, in Las Vegas and the LA, Southern California area, that was blacked out. So it wasn't blacked out for you, LakerTom, was it?
No, they black out the Warrior games though, so that you have to watch them on the local Warriors channel because I live in Northern California.
Fair enough. Okay.
And they blocked out everybody to help the local TV affiliate.
Yeah, well, they got to get rid of that. One day they just got to say, you know what, forget about blackouts. Just forget about blackouts. People are going to go to the arenas or the stadiums.
I hate it when you don't have anywhere to complain, though. I mean, it's like
that's such an archaic rule with the blackouts.
Microsoft.
It's just so archaic. Absolutely. Yeah. It's come and gone. I mean, this is stuff as far as a blackout, and I'm going to rant on here. I'm going on my soapbox here. This, again, is the Lakers Fast Break. This is stuff that was effective in the 70s and 80s in a different time period with just broadcast television and things of that nature. It worked then, but now in the age of cable TV, now in the age of streaming, now when there's so many different options, oh, okay, so you're going to black out, like, for instance, my case. You're going to black out 40 games for me, almost, unless you get Cox Cable here in Las Vegas, and I don't want Cox Cable again in Las Vegas outside of my internet, then, it's just almost, it's asinine, to give you quite a word. It's archaic and asinine, and we need to go ahead and say, forget the blackouts. People are going to go to the arena. People are going to go to the stadium. They're going to fill up these stadiums and arenas, whether they want, if they want.
Yeah, but it hurt the Lakers because we have the second largest TV contract next to.
I understand that, but then again,
I can't see TV contract.
If I can't see the game, or if let's say I'm a Lakers fan that I can't see the game unless I am just forced to go ahead and get the Lakers channel or get the cable, basically the cable outlet. Because even NBA TV blacks out games. Even if you have one of those packages, they black out games too. That's something people need to know. And if that's the case,
they're protecting
I'm just going
the
to
Lakers
a lot of people are just going to go say, you know what, I'm going to check out Squid Game or something on streaming and just lose that crowd entirely. Right now, with sports being what it is, and you're just trying to get back these ratings again, it's just something people have to think about. That's an archaic rule from decades ago that she just needs to be wiped off the board. Well, just go ahead and
why don't we talk about the Simmons trade and Kyrie too while we're at it?
Well, no, that gets into something that's an even bigger headache. But there's no Simmons trade yet. He's
I was going to say.
He showed up to Philadelphia and said, "I'm here. I'm here. You can't find me anymore. I'm here."
But Tom's right. Well, that's part of it. But also,
and Kyrie went on Instagram and just went off on Instagram, and that is what it is. So
must-watch TV.
Just because you're famous doesn't mean that you can get on a.
You know who the real voiceless is? The real voiceless is all the people who have perished from coronavirus. Yep. That's who's the voiceless truly is. Yep. I mean, everybody that unfortunately might have lost their job because they made the personal choice and whatnot. You have to respect that, but they can always speak out because. How many people out there have social media? Virtually the entire United States, individuals out there.
90% of the people dying now are unvaccinated.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. So
it's partly their fault.
They don't have a voice. Once you die, you lose your voice, and that's the true voiceless.
If you're really worried about the plight of the worker and the underpined, I'm sorry, but like the millionaire basketball player sitting at home in front of his row of books. Is not like the good look way of getting the message out. It's like you really.
Okay, I'm gonna reel us back away from those two subjects because that's another.
You
story
brought us here.
Yes, that we'll do that in our.
You started it.
Because
I'm
inviting Jamie.
You're violating our rights.
That's
well,
our podcast rights.
Yeah.
Well, anyways. I want to go ahead and reel back in and talk about the game. We are going to go ahead and do an NBA team preview special for all the teams that we haven't covered as of yet this weekend. Jamie and Sean and I are going to get together and cover that. Huh?
The teams that nobody cares about.
Wow. That's because you don't care about them. As NBA
you
fans
couldn't get anybody to talk to you about those teams.
Oh, yes. And you know what? V. Garcia is actually... Everybody out there, I think V. Garcia is starting a GoFundMe page to go ahead and see if people will help him out on trying to get the Lakers League pass. So,
there you go.
Check his social media. He might be starting that at any moment. But it is the Lakers.
I hear Kyrie Irving's into worthy causes. Send him a link.
Okay, there you. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that, LakerTom. Don't do that. Don't start that. That's got a whole bunch of trouble. You can send it my way. But anyways, it is the Lakers Fast Break. I'm kidding. Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford along with my good friends LakerTom. But also here today is a man behind the 5 Things articles. And that's you can find at Lakerholics.com. It is Jamie Sweet. And Jamie, again, I was talking to LakerTom about some of the good things. Yes, Austin Reeves, he's got a lot of moxie, got a lot of energy. Again, it's still a work in process, I think, for him. We'll see what happens if he gets any time or burn in the regular season once the guys get back healthy, as far as Malik Monk and as far as what we see from Kendrick Nunn, hopefully, and also Wayne Ellington once they get healthy, once they get back. I'm not sure how much run he's actually going to get, but you saw some signs what he can do for the team. And you also saw 1 for 8 from 3. But again, that's a work in process for him. Right. I want to ask you this. Overall, the big 3, again.
Led the team in assists with 7.
Yes, I saw that with no turnovers, and that is to be complimented. And again, there is some signs that could be a future for the kid. I'm not like you are going to say he's going to have a greater career than Alex Cruz.
I'm glad you're not in charge, Gerald. You probably would have sent him to the G League after 1 game.
Well, G League hasn't started yet, so he can't do that quite yet.
So there you go. He'd be eligible for the draft right now. But again, he's just going to be the 14th guy out right now on the roster. We'll see with the kind of injuries he could be playing some time. So I'm not going to dissuade that. But De'Aaron Fox, there are points where he has to learn when he plays De'Aaron Fox, Chris Paul. When he's being paired up against these top flight guards. So we'll see. It's going to be a challenge for it. It's a learning experience. So we'll see what happens. Right now he's getting owned, but maybe in 2-3 years he will be playing the way that you and a lot of others are starting to foresee him to be. So. We'll see what happens there. But, Jamie, getting back to you, my friend, because I want to make sure you have time on this program to talk and elaborate on the big 3. Yeah, again, not the greatest shooting night for Anthony Davis, but I thought on the defensive end, in the interior, I thought that the interior defense was good. the rotations on the outside of perimeter defense were suspect, to say the least. But I want to hear your thoughts on the big three. I love the way that they pushed the transition game. Russell was a lot better tonight, a lot more effective, a lot more under control in the way he played his game. It looked very good. I wish, as V and I were talking on the chat board, I wish they had done more back cuts, because when they did it, they were very effective on it. But I want to hear your thoughts on today's game overall.
I mean, I thought that this was by far the most energetic game, and it comes from the top down. Like when LeBron plays with energy, the rest of the team incredibly tends to play with a little more energy. So, this was definitely the most engaged LeBron looked all preseason, which makes sense because it's the last game of preseason. And on top of that, I feel like this was by far Russ's most decisive game, where he didn't look like he was trying to choose between, he wasn't playing choose your own adventure the whole time. Like, well, should I go into the cave or open the pirate's chest or talk to this guy over by the car? He was like, I'm going to do this. And then he would go and do that. And when you play with decisiveness in sport, generally good things happen. If you're kind of out there like trying to feel the game out and see what's going to happen, man, and like let's just see where this all goes, it comes out about like how it sounded out of my mouth, which is like some weird hippie.
Which you are, but we love you anyways.
That's right. I'm not too. I mean, look at this thing. This is getting out of control. I need to go find a.
And you mock me when I shaved my beard.
I didn't say I was going
to.
I didn't say I was going to shave it. I'm going to get it.
I
back
had
under
something
control.
growing, but I'm not sure you can classify.
We don't
it
qualify.
as a beard
That
when I
doesn't
came
qualify
back.
as a
Listen,
beard.
if you want, this is a beard. This is on fire.
Jamie's got a
Listen,
beard.
but
Gerald, I don't think you've ever had a beard.
AD, AD can be so maddening sometimes because he reminds me of a player that like Lamar Odom sometimes, where you're like, just take it to the hole, dude. Like, don't like pivot around and throw up this floater from 8 feet out, and don't like dance around 25 feet out and then shoot a fadeaway. I mean, if it's like 5 seconds left on the shot clock, yes, of course, please do those things. The time is running out. It's time to make a play. But like when it's like 15, 18 seconds left in the shot clock, back your man down, especially when it's Harrison Barnes. Like, don't shoot a floater over Harrison Barnes. Take Harrison Barnes into the paint and destroy him so that Luke Walton has to take him out and put somebody bigger on you. And those are the things that I feel like, it's just not in 80s DNA. He like how Lamar Odom was a pass first power forward. Anthony Davis is a pirouetting ballerina of a center. And so that's just kind of how it is.
Your thoughts tonight, though, on the starting lineup and the assertion that
I liked it.
It is going to be DJ at the 5. Sorry, LakerTom. I'm with you, LakerTom. I'm with you.
Frank didn't commit to that yet, though. He just played.
LakerTom seems to think he did.
I hear everybody with, this is of all the things Frank has done this training camp, the assertion that he was going to set something in stone was the most ludicrous of them all. I don't know why there's just no reason.
It's what he did the championship year. He basically started JaVale the whole year, no matter what. The question is whether or not he was forced to make this move simply because he didn't have enough guards. He didn't have Ellington available, who I think is probably going to start. He didn't have Monk available or none.
I don't think you can start Ellington. I don't think you can start Ellington just because you're so small at that point.
Well, if you start DeAndre, you have one shooter on the lineup.
But they played
who averages 4 threes a game.
No, listen.
That's one of the reasons why you have no spacing, why you only got 9 shots from 3, and why you lost by 24 points in 3-point differential.
Yes, for the volume 3-point shooter crowd, I can see why the DeAndre Jordan starting is a nightmare
I'm
scenario.
agreeing with Laker-Tom on this one.
You would be better off starting Melo, frankly, because at least you're going to get 2 shooters in the lineup.
I agree. I think we should start Melo.
And
I
you
like
give
to
up hide him
so
more
much
on defense.
then, because
Yeah,
unless you hope that AD can cover for him.
I think you have LeBron, Russ. If you start out Melo, you have to play Bazemore, or if you start Ellington, you have to play Bazemore at the 3, and that's where I kind of start to worry.
Bazemore's in it. It's who's going to play with the 4 now, because Bazemore's
in the starting lineup. He's definitely earned a starting spot. I'll be astounded if he's not the regular starter from day one.
He'll start.
He should. He's got more size than KCP. He's like the KCP role.
Takes him from a 6'4" guy to a 6'6" guy.
He's slower than KCP though, and he's not I don't think he's the defender that KCP can be, but he is, I think,
there was an
reliable.
There was an interesting comparison of AD and Giannis that was going on Twitter. Some reporter came out and said that shouldn't Anthony Davis be as good as Giannis? Maybe better, because he can actually shoot and Giannis can't. And yet, when you look at various times, one thing, for example, is last year with Anthony Davis. In the 2 years that we've had Anthony Davis and LeBron James here, we've never won the non-LeBron minutes. AD's never been able to, to carry the team to win those minutes in 2 whole seasons. And this year, I think that what we're going to see in the non-LeBron minutes, hopefully, unless Frank is crazy, which could be true, is AD and Russ ganged up, in the non-LeBron minutes to really try to score points, because, that's their pick and roll. That's the lineup. That's where you want to take advantage of it. That's where we should kill. But Giannis basically. What is there's a difference between them and the will to control the game.
There's two well, I don't even think that's true. I think Giannis plays with power and AD plays with agility.
Shooting in the second half.
He plays with agility.
Passing the ball back out.
Yeah, well, I think that's always been who he is. That's
rather than attacking the rim like you said he should.
This is what I say. That's why I say
he turned into the guy that we see 1 out of every 3 games with AD, which is a guy who just kind of disappears, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the maddening thing about Anthony Davis. That's how I let it off with Anthony Davis. Is infuriating.
Last year was his worst year, basically, as a pro.
Yeah, but definitely. But that was due, I think, as much
due to injury. Due to injury, sure.
But not wholly. Like, it's also an attitude. It's also a mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that part of it was that, like, by the time the second half rolled around, he was like, 4 for 14. He was having a terrible shooting game, so he wasn't feeling like it was going. No,
he basically said that preseason's over for me.
He kind of did, and it didn't matter. Like,
that's the problem with preseason, that everybody has a little bit of that attitude.
Well, so now you're looking down the barrel of the same gun. Mike Brown got to look down when he started the pro season. We only played 6 preseason games, most in the NBA, which I find odd.
But great game by LeBron, man. Great game by LeBron. Yes, high percentage shot.
No, he was engaged. A couple
of those layups he made were really incredible layups.
Yeah, he probably should have gotten to the line 4 more times or so. But other than that, which is always my issue with but it's how it is. But in terms of the. We're talking about the starting lineup, and we're still only talking about one side of the basketball. We gave up over 70 points in the first half with the starters playing starter minutes.
Yeah,
that's not going to win an NBA championship, no matter if you have 3 superstars or 8 superstars or 22 superstars or a whole football team in an NBA uniform full of superstars. Like, that will never.
Their offense gets a lot better.
It won't get that good. There's no way. A Frank Vogel team will not have that good of an offense, and we frankly don't have the players. That's never going to cut it. And this has been my whole. There's 2 things that have been concerning to me this entire preseason, and they both date back to last season. And it's the defense, which was great last season but broke down in the playoffs, and turnovers, which was a problem all season long, from training camp to the NBA playoffs, and it never ever was addressed, and it was never ever dealt with.
Well,
here we are with a whole new team. We're here with a whole new team.
It's unaddressable because of the players that you have.
Well, that's the point.
You try to tell LeBron to be careful and Russ to be careful, or Rondo to be careful, and they're all 3 home run passers, man.
they all shoot for the home run. They
do. I mean, and
but this is the problem.
This
is the problem, though. This is a Frank Vogel team that this is always this, and this is always.
Well, I'm sure if this, imagine what it does to us. Think what it does to poor Frank. You know, it probably gives him nightmares, man.
Probably,
probably got to get the Alka-Seltzer and the Pepto-Bismol out. You know,
probably, yeah. But I mean, here's the thing. One of the things that made Phil Jackson such a great coach was that he put his position above the players, and it didn't matter who was on the team. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest players of all time, cool. Get over there in the corner and run the set. Would he take Michael out? Of course not. Was there an understanding between, Phil and like Michael and Phil and Kobe that like, I'm going to kind of decide my minutes, or we'll at least have like jovial conversations about it on the sideline. And if you give me that look, I'll be like, yeah, all right, go ahead and go on. Again, go ahead. But that is not Frank Vogel. And you can see it in the way there's no offensive identity, and there's that the identity of the team is sort of centered around the side of the basketball court that superstars tend to want help on. And that's the defensive side.
Offense is always going to be way ahead of defense at this point in time when you're talking about preseason going into the season. And you can see that from the scores and looking around the league at what the scores of the games are and how many Jordan Pools are birthed every preseason, Well,
that door swings Austin Reeves way as well.
Exactly.
THT, and that was THT last preseason, right? Dropping 30 points.
And it's such a chaotic environment to do it because a third of the game has probably got the starters in there. A third of the game has probably got total scrubs that aren't even going to be, on the team. And then in the middle, you got to find and pick your way through here in order to try to get your stats so that you can get a contract or get a two-way or at least make it to a G League team.
Or just get a role or have a role.
Yeah, or just get some interest from the next team and make your agent happy that, that you played well.
Right, exactly.
It's the announcer that I had on League Pass, which I think she's with the Kings.
Yes.
Actually a former WNBA player, but I didn't catch her name, but she answered the question really well when the other announcer, Mark Jones, said to her, well, what do you make about the Kings being undefeated here in preseason,
Right.
And she said aptly, which I thought was a great answer. He says, it's got about the same weight as the Lakers going winless in preseason. It matters just the same. It's exactly the same. It doesn't matter because they wipe the slate clean next Tuesday and everybody starts at zero.
I kind of agree with that to a point. I mean, in terms of your record, yep, it doesn't matter. These games don't matter one bit.
Christensen Hunter, just to let you know.
Thank you. Good to know.
I thought she was pretty good.
She is. I've heard her several times. She really knows her stuff.
Although she's a little biased for the Kings players, but
who do you think is paying her paycheck?
She's a King announcer. Yeah. What are you talking about? She's a little biased. That's
I thought she made good calls, pointed out the right things that were happening in the game.
She doesn't work for the NBA. She works for the Sacramento Kings, or maybe the station, but that hosts the Sacramento Kings. So she needs to have just a little bit of bias.
I know, but Darren
not
Fox,
overwhelming bias, but
Darren Fox really didn't look really very buff. I mean, it was like every one of the Kings players. She was, this guy looks great too, and this one over here, he's
Well, that's what you hear every preseason. They lost
look
weight,
at the shoulders,
or they
man.
gained weight, or they gained muscle, or they did something. They worked out in the gym 5 million hours, improved their jump shot.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook was working for days on his jump shot, as I recall, and I think he's made 3. So I think.
Well, he's actually been shooting fairly well from 3.
Yeah, I mean, he's been shooting okay. I don't know.
Let's look at the silver linings for a change.
Sure.
So the big silver lining has to be number 1. I think is LeBron, right? You guys,
I would say everybody got out of this preseason that matters healthy, but sure.
No injuries. No injuries
to the big 3 or who we hope to have be our starters.
But I thought that we had 2 of the big 3 play extremely well.
Yeah.
Their best games so far.
Absolutely.
Even though it's only been like 3 games for either one of them. Got to remember that,
No, I agree.
And, they're still going to be adjusting probably at 10, 20 games into the season.
Yeah.
It's going to be a third of the way through the season before the team, has probably a long road trip where they can really, start to bond and start to play together and start to get it. And the defense will be slower than the offense. And also simply because of the turnover of losing Caruso and KCP and even Kuzma, three excellent defenders who knew Frank's system and so forth. And you can't expect the new guys, even if it's a Bazemore, to do it. And we're going to miss an Ariza. Now we're going to missing THT, so it's like this. It's like, I thought we only had 2 seasons in COVID, but it could be, and I'm sure that Kyrie thinks it's really a 3-season cycle that COVID took down the NBA.
It did, and I want thank you for the shout out, V Garcia. I appreciate it. Hey, I think that those are excellent silver linings. I would add that Dwight still looks like the Dwight we had on our championship team, who's just willing to do the dirty work.
That was a couple of great blocks.
Also, DeAndre Jordan's best game in 17 years.
But Chase, one thing I mentioned to LakerTom was that the interior defense to me was good because of the fact there were several chase down, come from behind blocks that they didn't give up on the play. That's something you saw that they did in the first, second, and third exhibition games where they just let the guy have it. This is something where it's closer to the real season type format, the energy. So you see a lot of those chase down blocks. That's what I enjoyed seeing. I just wish the rotations, because they got lost on several rotations outside on the perimeter.
Well, there were several times when LeBron just quit on the play.
Yeah. Or a guard that just got lost in the play.
I'm not going to go out. I'm not going to go out there and chase Terrence Davis in the corner.
Shoot it, Terrence.
Go ahead, shoot it, Terrence.
Shoot it, Terrence. I'm going to go down and dunk on you in a few minutes.
And in Rondo again. Just this was a last year's regular season Rondo game for sure.
I mean, this is the problem. That at some point, you have to think that Rob's strategy of going with so many veteran minimum contracts and so many guys who are pushing, are well past what is considered the NBA prime age, and pushing into can they do this for 82 games? I don't think Rondo can do this for 82 games. I don't think Trevor Ariza already hasn't.
The story on the age, the rationale now for the rationale that's sort of emerged from all of the pundits with respect to the Lakers being such an old team is that they're built for the playoffs. I must have heard that like 50 times in the last couple of days.
Sure, but
they're built for the playoffs because they're all veterans, and when the game slows down and everything gets tough and the going gets tough, and then the savvy, smart veterans are going to come through in the clutch. And there's an element of that, I'm sure, but in the end, it's still going to come down to LeBron and AD, and in this version of the Lakers, Russ.
Yep, I agree. I mean, that was true last year, and we saw what the supporting cast did. They did zero, so I get it. Like you're rolling the dice.
Even if the supporting cast is better,
well, Felix,
I
do want to mention though. I do want to mention
those 3 guys.
I do want to mention though, Felix. He says Rondo will be fine. Remember, Felix, you have regular season Rondo and you have playoff Rondo. If you get a chance and check out the archives for this show, in the early days, LakerTom and I would go back and forth on this subject. There is quite a bit of difference between.
We had to drag him onto the Rondo bandwagon.
No,
you have to
Rondo bandwagon.
Yes, you had to drag
drag him screaming and yelling.
If we're being honest,
I got the last ticket to the Rondo playoff train. Yes, I got the last
ticket. Gerald's like Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic. He kind of snuck his way on.
I got the last ticket. I got on there just as he was going ahead and playing.
But maybe
I want to say though,
to not get
LakerTom, you got to go ahead and whisper in his ear, "It's the playoffs.
That's
the
right.
playoffs."
Right.
That's starting next Tuesday.
I kind of disagree. I don't mind if Rondo sits out 20 or so games this season.
Sits out. I mean, when he's on the court.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Frank should definitely come in. I just interviewed with
Nunn. I know there's a lot of people, and Michael H likes Nunn for a lot, and thinks that he can be the playmaker and the backup point guard. I have my doubts about that.
I think he can for like 10 minutes a game.
No, V. Garcia, Jamie won't let me drown like in Titanic. Or like that one guy, if you watch the James Cameron version, that falls off and like does a spiral and then like ping, it bounces off. Yeah, no, I don't want to be that guy either.
Listen,
Felix
I'm part of the orchestra on the boat that's just like, screw it, let's play music and go down playing, man.
I do want to mention Felix is saying we'll win 60 games. I have us with the Lakers getting a lot of rest and time off. I think they will go ahead and rest periodically, all three of the big three at points of time. And then we got to expect the AD injury bug at some point in time, maybe a 2-week injury. That always happens.
Why
does it not happen?
What's the season?
When
Realism,
has it not happened?
Why do the realists always take what is to be expected and then add all of the bad things
Okay, well, I'm
together?
Why do the optimists ignore reality?
I'm going over what Vegas has. I'm going 55 to 57 wins. LakerTom has it at 67.5, which is between 65 and 70. Jamie, what do you have for the Lakers? Yeah, that's what I call Mr. 67.5.
How can you have a win?
But Jamie, yeah, well, it's 60 between 65 and 70.
It's stats, man. It's just stats.
I don't care. No, I have us winning 58 games.
See, it's sensible, very sensible.
I have us winning 58 games, a hard 58. And that being said, the reason is I still think I know that we have a quote unquote soft schedule to open the season. I don't think
17 of 23 teams didn't make the playoffs last year.
That doesn't matter, especially not at the beginning of the season when we look like we're just.
Wait, it's the regular season. Things matter.
No, what I'm saying is that it doesn't matter that they didn't make the playoffs last season because
you're one of those who say nothing matters until the playoffs.
Hey, LakerTom, V Garcia is with you. He has jumped on the LakerTom train. He is actually saying 66 3/4 victories this year for the Los Angeles.
Hey, this is like the price is right, and he thinks the price is going to be lower.
Perhaps you've
nailing me one under on the price. That's not fair, V.
You've heard of Jim Jones, I'm assuming. Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Alternate who
Don't
goes first.
drink the Kool-Aid, V.
Well, somebody's drinking the Kool-Aid. Again, I think if you're going to talk about LakerTom prediction and now V Garcia's prediction of that many wins, it has to come because the Lakers are playing their full crew the full amount of time, or maybe getting it. Maybe they're playing like 70 to 72
we've won
games.
75% of the games since LeBron and AD have been here.
Okay, well, again, they have to be healthy.
What is 75% of 82 games?
Okay,
I think you can figure that out pretty quickly.
I'm hoping that your optimistic view is going to come to fruition.
60 3/4.
Yeah, 3/4 that way.
61 and a half, actually. It's 61 and a half.
Let's make it 71 100s. Why not?
Well,
let's quibble.
And by the way, Jamie, if V Garcia says Kool-Aid, it's over.
75% of 82 games.
Oh God! Another one bites the dust.
2 games is 1.5 games.
Okay, while LakerTom does the algebra behind the Lakers.
Yeah, can you somebody send this man an abacus so he can figure out what's going on.
I did want to answer.
That's how you get a half game.
Well, before we head on out, guys, hold on. It is the Lakers fast break. Once again, the Lakers did finish with a sterling 0-6 record as they did fall to Sacramento this evening in the final preseason game, and thank God it's over. 116 to 112. They did again. There were places that were very good and very promising that point towards a better future and a very strong outcome for the Lakers this season. But before we head on out, and before I turn it over to you, Jamie, and to you, LakerTom, on what you're doing at Lakerholics.com, I do want to point out one thing that V Garcia said way back in the chat, because he was asking about Dwight Howard and he was commenting about how they let him take a three-point shot. If they do a little bit more and sprinkle in what LakerTom is hoping for them to do, even with a center out there of playing the 5 out, okay, if they're going to be playing the 5 out, those are things that are sometimes going to happen, because if the offense doesn't gel in the 5 out and for some reason you're going to bail out with very short amount of time in the shot clock, you are going to see occasionally a DeAndre Jordan and a Dwight Howard from the corner try to shoot a 3, because that's all that is available at that time. So
yeah, and I'm pretty sure the clock was running down on that possession.
Yeah, that's why you're going to see that.
LeBron promised Dwight that if he made 2 blocks in the first half, he could shoot a 3 in the second half.
Well,
Dwight had 2 blocks.
When you play 5 out,
not
and
in the first half.
They've been
One
willing
was in
to
the
play
second
5
half.
out, even with the center. Even with the center, they've been willing to play 5 out.
Yes, and
You are gonna
that's
see
an important development because at least it keeps the lane clean.
Agreed. And I like the 5 out concept. It's just, again, 90% of the time, if it's executed right, you're going to see your back cuts, which I'm hoping to see a lot more of. You're going to see drives to the basket, which I'm hoping to see a lot more of.
We
But
saw a
there
lot more
is-
drives to the basket. We saw LeBron get to the basket tonight, and we
Agreed.
saw
But
Russ get
I'm
to
also
the basket.
explaining to people out there that you will also, on occasion, see when the shot clock happens and it's not working for whatever reason, bailouts like that happen at just periods of time.
I'd rather have Ellington take that bailout than Dwight or DeAndre, frankly.
Exactly. Well, again, it's something that I'm very happy to see the 5 out. I enjoy watching it because, again, it's a strategy, just type maneuver. It's a strategic move that I think the Lakers should incorporate much more so this season. But, guys, it's been great talking to you. I love laughing it up with you guys. V. Garcia and Felix, you've been tremendous out there on the chat board. I know a lot of people have been checking us out more than normal because they're gearing up for the Lakers season tonight. So I really want to say thank you to everybody who's taken the time to watch us this evening. But before we head on out, I'm going to start with you, Jamie Sweet, the man behind 5 things. I know you got a lot of things in store for people out there, but what you got cooking with 5 things at Lakerholics.com?
Got a 5 things season preview coming down the pike here in the next day or so, maybe as early as tomorrow morning. And you know, it probably focuses on all the things I focused on tonight, which is, you know, this is I think our lowest turnovers in a preseason game for the entire preseason, only 15.
From that end, I like that.
Me too. Especially because I believe we had like 9 in the first half.
Yeah, there was only 6 in the second half.
So only 6 in the second half. And you know that was with a few minutes of the bench mob. One of those came from Queen, so you could kind of say really it's only 14 if from the guys that matter.
We would be dynamite if we could hold our turnovers to 10 a game.
I'll settle for in the 15 at this point, knowing that we got Russ, knowing that we got LeBron. I'll settle.
It's just when you
15.
play those teams that have like 5 or 4 for the whole game, and it's like,
well, yeah, those are teams that are methodical, and we're not methodical. We are superstar driven, and they are
kills both ways,
and they're shooting for home runs. So, with big swings come big misses, and that's the team we got. So, live with it, love it.
Home runs.
That's right. Well, yeah. So if we hit enough of them, we'll win. But as we saw
we'll
tonight,
win.
a couple of singles is all it takes to advance in the playoffs. You don't need a home run.
Dodgers win.
Dodgers won. Yes.
Good.
Controversial call at the end, which I know Giants fans are not too happy about. But
no, Giants fans have a legit gripe. That was not a strike.
What happened? They called a strikeout,
and the guy did not even come close.
Outside of the the digital bot, they got to do that digitally, man. That's such a crime.
I know. I
hate that. I hate
modern baseball.
Screws the whole bat for the everybody or the pitcher.
I don't like modern baseball. I think it's too weird. It's like I really am having a hard time with it. I'm like, so now like there's a guy on second and extra
ghost
innings.
runner.
Awesome. Well, wow, so cool.
They put the ghost runner in. The Yankees lost 3 straight overtime games.
Right. The pitcher has to. You can't just. Like he can't throw a pitch and be like, all right, you're done. Like
pitcher's got to stay in there for 3 batters too.
Yes, but the Dodgers move on.
Dodgers move on, and we're gonna have some swings and misses with this team. Hence my 58 game prediction. I think that
I think there's going to be some rest. I think there's going to be some time off for the big 3. I just think
all of it.
Yeah, when you've got LeBron,
I hope it's rest and not injury. I don't mind rest.
Yeah.
No, mine on right now.
I just think you're going to see that from time to time. I think it's a smart move, especially if you see what's going on with the rest of the league.
You think LeBron's going to do that? Because he's always been against that in the past.
Well, you remember he's going to be how old in December?
I don't think he's going to do that. No, I'm with Tom. I don't think he's going to do that. I don't think he's Russ might sit to rest a knee.
Well, if you get 70 games from all 3 above those,
that'd be great.
That would be great. That's a great winner.
We'll take it.
Yes, we'll take it.
I'm all in on that.
Sold.
But please check out Jamie Sweet's 5 Things articles at Lakerholics.com, where you can also catch the great things that Magic Man Sean Grice, who will be with us this weekend, Go ahead and check out what he's doing there. So big shout out to Mr. Magic Man himself. But before we head on out, LakerTom, you got a lot of stuff going on. You've got a lot of big articles on the way. I'm sure about the big three. So I just
The big three, huh?
The big three. That's right. So what
Catchy,
you got going
catchy,
on
it's a
at
catchy
Lakerholics.com?
thing.
Yeah,
I'm working on an
or
article.
you could do an Austin Reeves special about how he's much better now than in your opinion.
Well, I'll wait until he doesn't go 1 for 8, Gerald.
Okay.
What
do you think he's better now than Alex Caruso, or do you think he's on?
No, I don't think he's better than Alex Caruso now. I think he has the
who's driving.
Okay, so V was asking. So I wanted to get
who's driving this earth. There's no way.
As V Garcia says, baby goat.
Oh my God.
Or hillbilly.
It's just as appropriate. So anyway, I've got an article that I'm writing right now called 3 Ways the Lakers Can Optimize Russell Westbrook. And those 3 ways obviously are, first, he's the answer, I think, to the non-LeBron minutes. If you basically play him and AD, they should be able to control that segment of time when LeBron James rests, and that'll be a huge thing because in 2 years we have not been able to win those minutes at all.
Not even close.
So that's a key thing. If we can win those minutes, LeBron on the court, the Lakers have always had a plus minus that's been positive. It's just when he goes off the court. So the first thing that you got to do from the Lakers standpoint is you got to make sure that it's AD and Russ running those LeBron minutes. And then the second thing you got to do is you got to get Russ in a half court. That takes care of the full court. In a half court, you got to get Russ coming downhill. And the way to get him downhill is not to have him be a spot-up shooter, because if you watch what happens whenever AD, let's say LeBron and AD run a pick and roll with Russ over on the side, Russ's man runs down and goes into the key.
Yep.
So the way you get around that is you have AD or LeBron sit over there for the 3, and you run the pick and roll with Russ having the ball going downhill to the basket with the ability to throw that. That pick and roll should be devastating. I posted a video of all of Russ's great plays for 2021, 20 and 21. Long video, man. I mean, I started in like 30 minutes to go through it.
There's a lot of highlights.
My God, some great passes to Gafford and just terrific, so the combination of that is really, I think, an important thing. And then the last thing is just, I think we have to leak somebody out on every rebound. We want to play the game fast, and let Russ go down there and rebound. And anybody who challenges a 3-point shooter should just immediately cherry pick and go to the other end, because Russ or LeBron will grab that rebound and we will be running. Pete Zayas 2 games ago actually sat down and watched the game and counted the number of times that the Lakers had fast break opportunities in the game, in the first half of the game. And this was the Phoenix game. There were 46 opportunities where the Lakers could run a fast break. How many of those 46 opportunities do you think that the Lakers crossed half court with 20 seconds left of the 24-second clock?
5.
5?
15.
15? 38.
All right, that's good.
38 of the 46. How many do you think they passed half court? They passed the half court line with 22 of the 24 seconds remaining.
Well, that's good news.
26 of them.
Wow. So they're getting
more
the ball
than half
across.
of them. They got across half court with 22 seconds left on the clock. So they're really pushing this. So those 3 things really can make a difference. They can be why Westbrook, as the 3rd superstar on this team, can make the Lakers a real winner. The ability to push the ball in transition, the ability to run pick and rolls with AD, and the ability, what was the 3rd one? I just forgot that.
All right. Sounds like a great
the
list.
ability to win the non-LeBron minutes.
There you go.
But those are 3 areas where if the Lakers really focus on those 3 areas, Westbrook will be a weapon that will be a big part of the formula to win the championship.
And you can read more about that in coming days and with all the other great articles that he has at Lakerholics.com. Be part of the conversation. You can comment right there. LakerTom loves to comment on top of all the articles that he does, as I always get the notifications in my email.
There's always things I remember afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to add into this. Andy wanted to go, yes, but still.
Oh, and by the way.
Yeah,
I was going to say, is this about to be like a Rick Scott speech about, you know what we need?
And then Sean Grice will put in something, and then Jamie Sweet will put in something. Yes. So I will say this. Please be part of the conversation. It is a lot more than just three guys talking. There's a lot more when you go ahead and check out Lakerholics.com. Read all the great articles that Jamie Sweet, LakerTom, and Sean Grice put up there at Lakerholics.com. But guys, it's been great having you both here. Cannot thank you enough. I'm gearing up towards another great Lakers run for us at Lakers Fast Break. If you have any questions for us, at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter, at LakerTom on Twitter, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Just have a great time all season long. That's what we're hoping for. But before we head on out, I do want to go ahead and thank so much all the viewers today that took their time to go ahead and check us out. Cannot thank enough Kawhi Young, V. Garcia, and also J. John Cerceta for the big shout outs and thumbs up and hearts on Facebook. We cannot thank you enough for that. V. Garcia is already done with he's already going with the baby goat. Just wanted to let you know for Hillbilly Kobe, Austin Reeves himself. The kid's gotten some moxie. I'll tell you what. Oh, V. Garcia's back with the Gerald Pooty. There you go. Oh, it's coming back again. All the stuff from last season. Rearing its ugly head once again. But V. Garcia says something I do want to go ahead and share with you now, and that is it feels good to be back. Yes, It does feel good to be back.
We're going to have a win. We're going to start winning games, I think.
Yes, and we did miss you, V.
We better.
We did miss you, V. But he said LakerTom, his actual prediction on wins has gone down to 64 3/8. So I just didn't want to let you know that. But he says, LakerTom, we're going to hit Vegas together.
Sounds like a stock market bid there, B.
All right. Well, V. Garcia says, LakerTom, we're back, baby. Yes, we're back. We're still here. We're continuing to be here. But if you have any questions for us, again, at Lakers Fast Break, at LakerTom, or LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, or Lakerholics on Facebook, Lakers Fast Break on Facebook. Follow us wherever you can. And if you have Laker fans in your life that love a good conversation or just us teasing each other nonstop for 45 to 50 minutes, you can go ahead and check us out each and every time at Lakers Fast Break. I also have, again, more team previews on the way. Going to have more stuff coming up before the start of the season. And, of course, we will be here for the post games as only we can. But, guys, it's been great having you aboard. V. Garcia, J. John Cerceta, Kawhi, everybody who took the time to watch us tonight. We truly appreciate it. We send you out much love from all of us, and we'll see you next episode right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.